This is Millionaire Mentorship call number 267. This is Dr. Herbert Harris, and our topic for today is one that I have really enjoyed preparing for, and it is called The 7 Causes of Failure. And it reminds me of someone once said, well, why do you want to study failure? You know, it's like studying the enemy. I remember in our church once we had a preacher that had gotten caught in the wrong place doing the wrong things. And when he came to church that Sunday, everybody was sort of sitting there very tight-lipped and you could just cut the air. And he said, I know what you're thinking. He says, but you can't fight sin if you don't know sin. And so you may not overcome failure unless you know failure. And so what are we going to talk about? 7 causes of failure. You know, it's very important that we get an understanding of failure because it is often looked at as a reason to quit. When people fail 2 or 3 times, they just throw in the towel. And really and truly, failure is a dress rehearsal for success. I mean, that's all it is. Every time we fail, we learn 2 things. We should learn why we failed. And number 2, we learn that we can rebound from failure, that failure isn't permanent. Neither is success. So success and failure really come with important lessons. I often tell the story of the young man very ambitious young man who had an opportunity to speak with a multi-millionaire successful businessman. And the young man, you know, who comes from that microwave age of quick fixes, he said, asked the gentleman, he said, listen, he said, what is the key to success, you know? And just 1 or 2 words. He said, I don't want to lecture, but what is the key to success? And the wealthy gentleman said, the key to success is right decisions. So the young man was halfway satisfied, and he said, and how do you learn to make right decisions? And the wealthy old man said, experience. Young man was, And then how do you get experience? And the businessman said, wrong decisions. In other words, that highlights the importance of failure. We literally fail our way to success. We learn to make right decisions by making wrong decisions and then learning from them. Now, that's something I really want us to think on for a minute, because sometimes when we make wrong decisions, when things don't go according to plan, it's very easy to really want to throw in the towel and just say, man, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. And so if you're experiencing failure, then that's a good indication that you're trying. You know, you don't fail unless you're trying to do something. So failure can really be considered one of the Creator's ways of forcing us to get better. You know, there are 3 constants in the universe. There's consciousness, awareness of what is. There's choice, and there's change. And so really and truly, our evolution as a person comes about by raising our level of consciousness, facing the changes that manifest, and making choices that position us for where we want to go, what we want to be, and what we want to have. So failure is, in a sense, is a perfecting process to prepare us for whatever we encounter along the success journey. I mean, in a sense, it's a good thing, a perfecting process, almost a pruning process. Sometimes you learn the right thing to do by doing all the wrong things. When we had written our first book, How to Make Money in Music, the fellow said, well, did you guys ever really make any money? And we said, not that much. He said, but one thing, we learned everything not to do. And so failure can teach you what not to do. It is through failure that our faith and confidence develops. if we never have a challenge, if we never have a disappointment, if we never have a setback, then we really don't know how to handle it. One of the things I dislike about the way sports and young kids today, you know, the kids play the game and they don't want the kids to experience failure. And so everybody gets a trophy. The winners and the losers get trophies. And then when they get into real life and they experience real life failure, they don't know how to handle it. And so failure helps our faith and confidence develop. When we fail and when we analyze the failure and then overcome it, we strengthen the belief in ourselves and in what we're doing. So let's look at these 7 causes of failure, because when we see them, we can learn from them and then thereby create, you might say, a more effective journey, a more effective path towards the goals we have for ourselves. The number 1 reason that most people fail is lack of persistence. We often tell the story of acres of diamonds, of the farmer who had a great farm, and when he heard about the fact that diamonds were being discovered, and he looked around his farm and didn't find any diamonds, and he decided to sell the farm and set out to the far country where they said diamonds were being discovered. And he traveled, and eventually, you know, he literally ran out of everything. But the person who bought his farm one day saw something glistening in the sand, and right there, right virtually near the surface, were diamonds, acres of diamonds. And so lack of persistence is the reason most people fail. Bill Bradley, who was an interesting combination, he had, you know, athletes often get a sense of failure because they're put in positions where they try and fail, and they do it in front of the world, and so people see it. So Bill Bradley was an athlete and a politician. So that's an interesting group. He said, ambition is the path to success. Persistence is the vehicle you arrive in. I'll say that again. Ambition is the path to success. Persistence is the vehicle you arrive in. Napoleon Hill talked about the importance of persistence. Patience, persistence, and perspiration make an unbeatable combination for success. Patience, persistence, and perspiration make an unbeatable combination for success. And so persistence is critical. Most people, when they encounter resistance, they simply quit. Inherent in the concept of persistence is the principle of resistance. And resistance is really necessary. If we think about this, when we see persistence and resistance, what we learn is we must learn to persist in what must be done to realize success, and to resist what must not be done. And a part of the growth process is to recognize the difference, to recognize what you must persist at and what you must resist from. Doubt creeps in when you're not able to distinguish the two. In other words, when you can't determine what you must persist at and what you must avoid, that's when doubt creeps in, when you're not sure. So distractions and disappointments undermine our persistence. To be successful, we must avoid distractions and not be deterred by disappointments. I often think of, you know, Winston Churchill, and when you read the life of Churchill, he was a person that literally failed in pretty much every way possible. You know, even you look at Abraham Lincoln, he failed at pretty much every political office he ran for. The only office he ever won was president. And so this idea of persistence is critical. There are 2 aspects of persistence. One, don't repeat the same things over and over. If something does not work, try new approaches. Our commitment is to win, to get there, to accomplish our goals. If something goes wrong, if something does not work, don't get stuck persisting in doing the same things over and over. Simply take a new path. We have to really be careful of that, because sometimes when we keep getting, you might say, negative results, we can short circuit ourselves by blaming others. And so we never take corrective action. Einstein said insanity is doing the same things over and over and expecting a different result. The second aspect of persistence is to look for patterns. Look at some of the things that did not work, some of our unsuccessful efforts. Determine if there's a pattern. There are both failure patterns and success patterns. When we examine our lives and our past performance, do we see patterns where we keep doing certain things over and over that cause failure time and time again? I know for many of us, there's a pattern of procrastination. Over and over, we find ourselves putting off today what should have been done last week. And the universe, once again, choice and change. So by putting off the choices, we have literally made a choice, and we've created a pattern for failure. So when we look at our lives, these failure patterns must be addressed. If it's tardiness, if it's lack of preparation, sometimes it's having a poor self-image. But whatever these failure patterns are, when you see yourself failing time and time again, you know it's a pattern and it's a deeper cause. You must go down a little deeper to solve that. So look at the patterns of failure and patterns of success. Follow the patterns of success and avoid the patterns of failure. The second cause of failure is lack of conviction. Woo. Lack of conviction. See, conviction is belief from which all doubt has been removed. So lack of belief breeds lack of conviction. If we don't believe in whatever we are doing, we will not succeed. Franklin Roosevelt said, "We have always held to the hope, the belief, the conviction that there is a better life, a better world beyond the horizon." So the things that you believe in, that you have strong convictions for, will take you where you want to go. Lack of conviction creates failure. Muhammad Ali said something interesting. He said, it's the repetition of affirmations that leads to belief. See, belief is the foundation for conviction. If you have no beliefs, your conviction will be non-existent. Ali went on to say, and once that belief becomes a deep conviction, things begin to happen. It's the repetition of affirmation that leads to belief. And once that belief becomes a deep conviction, things begin to happen. Muhammad Ali. And so this conviction thought is a profound message. There are two areas of conviction and belief to look at. One is belief in ourselves. When we experience persistent failure and we analyze it and we see it's because we don't really believe in ourselves, we think of the negative outcomes, we focus on all the ways to fail. If we don't believe in what we're doing, if we don't believe in ourselves, then no matter what we attempt, we will always fail. If you don't believe in yourself, we will snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Without belief in ourselves, we always second guess our decisions and second guess our actions. So therefore, we don't have the conviction necessary to create the vibration, that law of attraction vibration that will then draw the people and the experiences and and whatever we need into our space. We can never be sure about ourselves, and we will always lack confidence. The second aspect of belief with respect to conviction is belief in our endeavor, belief in our goals, belief in our vision, belief in our business, belief in whatever we're attempting to do, belief in making a better family, belief in being better in a relationship. When we don't have conviction about what we're doing, we can't get the passion for it. See, passion is a measure of conviction. Passion is a measure of desire. And if we don't have passion, if we don't have conviction, if we don't believe in the process, if we don't believe in what we're doing, it will not happen. You know, those of us in business, in network marketing, for example, so much time is spent dwelling on your why. Why are you doing this business? Why are you attempting to change your life? And that why must be so clearly defined that you can then believe in it, one, and that you can then have such a strong belief that you can develop conviction so that things can begin to happen. Without conviction, we can't give our all. Without conviction, we can't develop the passion necessary for success. There's always a part of us that says, I don't really believe in what I'm doing. I'm going to wait. I'm going to hold back. See, lack of conviction is such a powerful key to failure because it undermines our belief in what we're doing. We must decide what is important. If it's worth doing, we must do it with conviction. If something is worth doing, it's worth doing right. Dr. Martin Luther King once said, if you're going to be a street sweeper, then be the very best street sweeper in the world so that people will look at your street and admire it for cleanliness, so that you can even eat off your street. And so conviction helps you develop that type of passion to do your very best at everything we do. Whatever you do it with all your might. Do it to the best of your ability. Do it with passion and conviction. The third cause of failure. Oh, this is a tricky one here, folks. The third failure is rationalization. Rationalization is making excuses. Winners analyze, losers rationalize. We cannot have success and excuses in the same situation. When we rationalize, we give great reasons for our failure. We say to ourselves, I fail because I'm short. I fail because I'm black. I fail because I'm poor. I fail because I'm white. I fail because I'm a Southerner. In other words, rationalization causes us to develop reasons for failure. Isn't that something? That when we rationalize, we literally give ourselves a reason for failure so that we are comfortable with failing. One of my great teachers said, excuses are terrible. The better the excuse, the worse it is. When we rationalize the undesired outcomes, we don't take steps to change that outcome to that we're seeking. So when we rationalize our lack of performance, when we rationalize our failures, when we rationalize our mistakes, we never take action to correct them. Jane Greer was interesting. She was an actress and was kind of faced with the choice of being a mom and whatnot. And she said, I love making movies, but I was ready to rationalize being only a mother if my career never got back on track. In other words, if she failed at what her passion was, being an actress, then she could rationalize by saying, oh, I want to be a great mom. Not that being a great mom is a great idea, but that was not her passion. Her passion was to be an actress. And when she chose, it was a rationalization because her career was not going the way she wanted it to go. Don't think of unsuccessful attempts as failure. Look at unsuccessful attempts as dress rehearsals for success. No one succeeds without past failures. Even if people are lucky enough to have success without failure, without growth, you see, failure brings about growth. The more we fail, the greater we grow. The way to overcome failures and disappointments is to grow through it. If we don't grow through it, we keep going through it again and again, and we get failure patterns. Sometimes people achieve success without putting in the work, without experiencing the personal growth. For example, lottery winners. Someone did a study, and many lottery winners, a significant percentage of lottery winners are broke within 6 years. And one reason is that they did not go through the process. They achieved success without the growth through failure. The fourth cause of failure is dismissal of past mistakes. Dismissal of past mistakes. Some people live and learn. Other people simply live. They never learn from their mistakes. They never grow from their mistakes. In life, if we don't grow through it, we will go through it again and again. And I challenge each and every one of us today that when we look at repetitive events that happen in our lives, what is the message? The message is we have to grow through it. If we keep attracting people who treat us badly, it's always an inside job. So if we want to change that, we have to change ourselves. Whatever the experience, whatever the encounter we have, if we don't grow through it, if we don't learn from it, we will go through it again and again. So past mistakes are okay. Past mistakes can be a great teacher if we have the right attitude. Wise men learn from their mistakes, and failures simply quit. Failures get discouraged. They lose their enthusiasm. Once again, my good friend Winston Churchill said, success is moving from failure to failure without ever losing your enthusiasm, without ever losing your passion for accomplishment. When we look at past mistakes, sometimes the reason we fail was because we didn't define our goals clearly enough. We didn't define the challenge clearly enough. We didn't define the problem clearly enough. Maybe we didn't analyze it. Maybe we needed to hear it from different perspectives. One of the interesting things about life is that when you go back and look at the things that led us to where we are right now, we often see patterns, certain failure patterns, certain success patterns. So don't dismiss past failures. Go back, reanalyze them, especially when they're recurring. You know, when something needs repairing, you have to acknowledge that it's broken to fix it. And so when we have past failures, we have to acknowledge that's what they were, but now look at them as inspirations to grow and get better. Those of us in business, especially in sales, we find that we can do certain things that bring about certain results. For example, we can be very, very excited about introducing a new person to our business, to our program, to whatever activity we're engaged in. And we'll say, listen, I know you're excited. I'm going to give you a call back tomorrow. And then we don't call them tomorrow or the next day, maybe for 2 weeks. And so what that says is that by the time we call them back, they have forgotten what the program was. Half of them have forgotten about you. And so you'll see failure to follow up can be a frequent cause of failure. We have to learn from these past mistakes and develop new habits. So when we see, for example, failure and follow-up, we may change our attitude and redefine how we operate. So if we know that failure to follow up is a challenge for us, then we turn our thing around so we have a new thought there. So we task ourselves now and said that every contact that I meet, I follow up within 48 hours. You find that works in business and in life. Every time you meet a new person, somebody gives you their card. Most of us put the cards and file it away and never use it again. But think of how much powerful that relationship could be if the next day you drop them a note, a thank you card. It says, hey, it was a pleasure meeting you. Looking forward to doing some business in the future. To learn from our mistakes, analyze the situation, determine what does not work, determine what does work, and then act accordingly. The fifth cause of failure is lack of discipline. Oh boy, I think we might have stepped on some toes. You see, discipline is the key to success. Discipline is the foundation upon which all success is built. Lack of discipline inevitably leads to failure. Jim Rohn said that. Jim Rohn, who was outrageously successful in network marketing. Discipline is the foundation upon which all success is built. Lack of discipline inevitably leads to failure. Lack of discipline is even a subtle cause of failure. You don't notice it. Many people acknowledge the power of self-discipline, but then doing it is another story. It's easy to talk in the path and walk in the grass. Discipline is our internal guidance system, and I'm talking self-discipline. You see, the moment you take charge of your life and demonstrate self-discipline, then you're in charge. Anyone who has accomplished anything worthwhile has never done it without discipline. Discipline takes self-control. Discipline requires sacrifice. Discipline requires that you avoid distractions. Discipline is the foundation for focus. Discipline and focus go hand in hand. If you have no discipline, you cannot focus. Lack of discipline, then, is a core of many failure patterns. So the question is, what actions must we take to keep us focused on the success path to that which we are seeking? That's one of those questions, rectifying questions. What must I do to keep me focused on the goals that I have set for myself? Daily affirmations are very powerful, very effective in developing discipline because it helps you take control of yourself. Develop and read your vision or your goal statement 3 or 4 times a day. The discipline required for the daily activity can strengthen your overall discipline, focus, and desire. You know, many of you know that for the last 10 days, I was doing 4 readings a day from the 12 Universal Laws of Success. And someone asked, why was I doing it? It was my discipline. It was me disciplining myself, because I know that when you can discipline yourself, you can increase your focus and your results. Don't be a perfectionist. Some people get so focused on the discipline aspect that they become perfectionists. They often end up doing unnecessary things, attempting to achieve an idealized version while losing focus of the bigger picture. See, discipline requires that we keep focus and make critical choices about how we allocate our time. Time discipline, we call it time management. Time discipline is the most critical aspect of creating success and one of the most critical causes of failure. Every choice results in a mindset. Every choice results in results. So when we operate from a perfectionist level of consciousness, we keep pushing and doing the same things over and over with the same mindset of wanting to see the perfection of the activity rather than the true goal. We don't take new and different approaches. We don't get the benefit of the harmonic inspiration that comes when we think, when we respond, when we interact with our activities with an open mindset. You know, part of growth is being open and receptive. The universe can't talk to you if you're not listening. Infinite universal wisdom is there for everyone to just perceive and to lock into, but you have to pay attention. It's always pumping. Be careful about our ego. See, focus can be a strong motivator, but don't become so locked on one perspective that you can't see different approaches that may give different insight, that you can't listen to other opinions, that you can't listen to other people, especially people who've been where you're trying to go. Be careful of your ego, because it can keep you focused on internal feelings and internal gratification rather than being open and receptive to that you need. When we maintain strict discipline, it requires us to get out of our comfort zone. You know, when you have a disciplined task, you find that thing orders your day, that you can't do certain things because you made a commitment to be here to do that. And so one of the basic principles of discipline is to keep us on a narrow path. And that narrow path is defined by our why, our goals. And so our why must be so big, so profound, that it draws us out of our comfort zone. And the way we get out of our comfort zone is through our discipline. It creates uncomfort, it creates discomfort, but that's what is required to go for a goal that big. The sixth cause of failure is poor self-esteem. Woo! Poor self-esteem. Lack of personal worthiness. Not feeling that we deserve that which we are seeking. Some people live a woe is me life, and all they can think about is, oh, nothing good ever happens to me. Some people just cannot see themselves successfully achieving anything. Many times in our childhood, when we've experienced much criticism and self-doubt and lack of love, we can get mired down and thinking that nothing good comes to me. One of the lessons that we have to learn about business is that some people just cannot see themselves being successful at anything, and you can't change that. That's something only they can change. You may be an example for them. You can be a model that they can model your behavior, but it's an internal job for them. You know, those of us in business, sometimes when we've gotten into a new business or a new activity and we talk to people and they say, oh, it sounds like a great business. How's it working for you? You say, well, I'm brand new. I just got started. Have you made any money? Well, not yet, but I'm going to make some. They say, oh, well, great. Well, when you make some, come back and I'll join you. And then you go out and you become successful and you come back and you say, listen, I made money, man. Come on and join me. And what you'll find is that when you get back to them, they still can't make the move. Because inside, they don't see themselves as being successful. And many times, they'll even resent you for your success. So not only will they be resentful, not only will they not be able to take an action themselves, but they'll resent you for going for it and for being successful. Sometimes people never see the big picture. They never see themselves as they can be. They get so focused on who they are and what they've experienced and the hurts that they've had before. And they never see the possibilities. You know, childbirth is painful, but I've never met a mother who said, boy, I'm sorry I had this child. Oh, goodness. Many things that we accomplish in life, there's a pain factor, and the pain makes it even more sweeter. As our success grows, there are a lot of people that will look at us and they just can't make that move. That's okay. You can't change another person's self-esteem, how they feel about themselves. You see, whatever we see ourselves as, we become. It's always an inside job. If our self-esteem, how we see ourselves is mediocre and never win and never good things happen, then we get mediocre results. I used to have an uncle, well, I still have, well, he passed now, but he was so negative, and I once told him that I was pursuing my studies and spending a lot of time on classes and seminars to find myself, and he had a way of saying negative things. He said, yeah, well, when you find yourself, you're going to be broke. I'm glad I didn't let him discourage me. What we do is, where do we look to find ourselves? We look for ourselves within. So when we talk about that poor self-esteem creating failure, we have to look within and find what's inside ourselves that's slowing us down. We may be labeling ourselves wrong. Don't label yourself. We know what we say is what we get. So if we say something about ourselves that's negative, you got it. It's amazing. There's a proverb that says, it's not the name they call you, it's the name you answer to. But there's something interesting about the subconscious mind. When you call yourself in a negative, limited fashion, then you get negative, limited results. When you strive for your goal, always see yourself worthy of that which you're seeking. There's a beautiful quote, anonymous, and it says, it's not what you are that's holding you back. It's what you think you are not. It's not what you are that's holding you back. It's what you think you are not. Wow. Don't tolerate disrespect, not even from yourself. We can often disrespect ourselves in many ways, so don't tolerate disrespect even from ourselves. Then finally, the seventh cause of failure is a bad attitude. Attitude is a form of human radiation that gives other people a perception and an understanding of who you are, what you're about, and where you're going. Your attitude shows your disposition, your opinion, your personality, your outlook on the world. When people have a fatalistic attitude, or whatever will be, then they live in a whatever will be world. And so their goals are never realized, because whatever will be, it's like always focusing on the weeds. The weeds grow and nobody can do anything about it. He who does not pull up the weeds, the negative thoughts, the negative people, his garden will perish. You know, the attitude is like a flat tire. A bad attitude is like a flat tire. You'll never get anywhere until you change it. People don't accept the outcome. It's almost as though whatever they get in life depends on luck. Well, if they believe that, then they can't change the outcome. So that bad attitude will keep you locked in to constant failure. Whatever attitude you demonstrate, you become magnetic for it, and you attract into your life experience things that are congruent with that negative attitude. Failure, disappointment. And so if we look now and we say, what are these 7 causes of failure? Let's just summarize them, because when we see them, we know how to handle them. Number 1, lack of persistence. You know you've got to hang in there until it's done. You've got to be like a postage stamp and stick to your job until the destination is achieved. You know, to avoid lack of conviction, that you've got to believe in yourself and believe in that which you're seeking, your goal, your why. Number 3, you have to stop rationalizing, accepting whatever it is, making excuses for it. You must create new thought patterns consistent with and congruent with that which you're seeking. Number 4, Don't dismiss your past mistakes. Learn from the past failures. Learn from the past mistakes. You literally fail your way to success. Every failure has a seed of growth and greatness in it. Lack of discipline. You must keep your eyes on the prize. You must be disciplined at all times. You must keep your mind, your emotions, your body, and your instincts under control at all times. Discipline and focus are the power tools for success. Poor self-esteem. You have to have a vision and a feeling about yourself that you are worthy of and you deserve all the good that's coming to you. And finally, that number 7, that bad attitude. A bad attitude is like that flat tire. You won't get anywhere until you fix it. You must change the whatever will be to if it's to be, it's up to me. You're the captain of your ship. You're the architect of your life. You're the creator of your world. You create the world in the image that you desire it to be. You create it for yourself. You create it for your family. You create it for all whose lives are touched by you. And you make the world exactly the way you want it to be, through your vision, through your actions, through your decisions, through your discipline. When you know the causes of failure, you know exactly what to avoid, and you know exactly what to do. And so it is. The best is yet to come.